recording.
Hi, my name is Gary Stanley. I'm a senior at Ohio University working on my midterm interview. I chose just a standard interview process. I'm going to be interviewing Drake Sweet. He's introduced to me through a friend. Drake grew up in a small town and is now living in the city of Cleveland and going to college. So, Drake, to get started, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Hi, my name is Drake Sweet. I grew up in southern Michigan, moved to Ohio when I was about 13 or so, went to high school, and moved to Bowling Green for my first year of college. And after a year there, moved to Cleveland to go to school at Case Western, and here I am.
Great. So what was one of the things that made you decide to move to Cleveland, and Case Western in particular?
So when I started going to school at Bowling Green, there was a little bit of a disconnect between what I felt would have been an academically challenging situation and what I was receiving there. It was kind of a party school. So Katie, my girlfriend, had expressed an interest in wanting to go into the Cleveland Institute of Art, and so I started looking into schools around here and found Case Western as one of the big science schools in the nation, actually. So I kind of just applied there just to see if I could get accepted. Kind of thought of CSU as a backup, but got accepted, so I came here, and I'm a senior now, so I'm my last year. So.
That's great. What is one of your favorite things about living in Cleveland?
Never lived in a big city before, so it was really interesting coming here. One of the things I like most is the public transportation. It's something I've never had anywhere growing up, especially in small towns and stuff. It's never been available, so I use that a lot, going to and from school, even going downtown. It's easy to get on the public transportation. I remember I used to have to fill up my gas tank at least once a week. I don't even remember the last time I filled it up. So that's been awesome. Especially the Case provides a bus pass, so it's been free for me so far as an undergrad.
Okay, so now since that's one of your favorite things, what's one of the worst things you don't like about living in a big town?
Some of the people you might run into on the RTA. Just in general, you find some interesting characters that were absent in small towns. So, I've got a what's the term? Panhandler, good old Kenny that inhabits the Shaker Square, which is near where I live. About every time I see him, he wants something. But, so there's good things. There's bad. It's overall. I've never had any bad encounters with any crime or violence or anything.
Okay. Since you lived in Bowling Green and now you're living in Cleveland, do you notice any changes as far as cost of living? As far as is it more expensive to live in Bowling Green or Cleveland?
As far as rent goes, rent was cheaper in Bowling Green. I think we paid about somewhere around $450 a month for a one-bedroom apartment, and the first apartment I had in Cleveland was around like $650 for a one-bedroom apartment. Since then, we've downsized to a smaller place. It's an efficiency, and it's about $500 a month, which is the very cheapest that you can find here with not living in a rat hole.
Okay. In addition to that, what about like groceries, restaurants?
Groceries are about the same. Maybe some things are a little bit more expensive. Bread, milk might be a little bit more, but general items are about the same.
Okay.
Restaurants, I don't really eat out much, so it's not really a luxury that I was used to before or after moving to Cleveland.
Okay, now since you moved to Cleveland, you said that was less expensive living in Bowling Green.
Mm-hmm.
What about utilities, like car insurance and all that? Has all that stuff gone up too?
I'm not sure about insurance. Utilities, also not too sure about, because the apartment I live in now, utilities are included.
Okay.
It turns out that this apartment we were in actually used to be some sort of office or something in the building, so the electric and gas is tied into the building, and so we kind of got all scot-free on that. So that was nice.
Okay.
But I wouldn't really expect it to be that much different. Again, maybe a little bit more expensive in Cleveland, but not outrageously.
Okay. Now, also, since you now live in a big city, you interact with people every day.
Every day.
Friendly people, unfriendly people. Given your perspective, possibly, through watching TV or media, a perception of the people in a big city compared to a small small town?
Yeah. So one thing I noticed coming here, I'm a pretty personable guy. I like to talk to people. I did notice that people don't really like to make as much eye contact here in the big city. If you're walking down the street, am used to a small town where you look the person in the eye and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Don't really get that as much here. You get a lot of grumpy looking people, and I think that in terms of the media aspect that you're getting out, I think that's kind of reinforced. People think, well, all these grumpy looking people, I should keep my eyes on and not interact with them. But I've actually found sitting at a bus stop, you can have a grumpy looking person. You say hi, they totally do a 180, and they're a normal person, and they're happy to talk to you. And so I think media has an impact on the preconceived ideas that you go into an encounter with, where you think that maybe these people are scary or violent or unapproachable, but I don't think that's really the case.
Okay. Well, you said that since you talked about the bus stop and transportation and that, with Cleveland offering bus and a light rail service, obviously, do you drive everywhere, or do you rely more heavily on mass transportation?
To get where I'm going, usually, I'm going to school. I use the RTA every day. I live within walking distance of a grocery store, so if I'm going to go somewhere, that, like say, I need to take a trip to a hardware store or something, there I'll drive. Or if I need to go get something that's not at my local grocery store, I might drive. But it's rare that I really need to go anywhere that I need to drive to.
So when you do drive, though, do you find it more of an inconvenience in the big city compared to like a smaller town where you can just buzz down the street and go somewhere?
Yeah, things are definitely more. It's kind of like things are more patchy. Like sometimes you have to drive a good distance to find a specific type of store where you're looking for. Or if you just kind of live in a small town, you have your general shopping area, and there's pretty much everything you need right there. Here, if I need to go get an oil change, I might have to drive 10 or 15 minutes rather than 5 minutes down the road.
Okay.
But as far as traffic goes and stuff, it's not that bad. But again, I've been here for a couple years now, so I'm more used to it than I was when I first came.
Okay. Well, we talked about Cleveland being known as a melting pot of different nationalities. Your neighborhood, how would you describe your neighborhood as far as a melting pot of ethnic diversity?
My area where I live is interesting. It's right on a borderline. We live on a Shaker Square, and there's a Shaker Boulevard that cuts through the center. North side of that is, you must have mostly students. There's a lot of apartments and stuff around there, so you have pretty decent living area. On the south side, it's a little bit rougher, and so right in the Shaker Square, you get an interesting combination. Going to the Dave's Market, you might find some more shady-looking characters, but then again, there's also a lot of more upscale restaurants around that area. So it's amazing the clash that you'll see sometimes. Going to these fancy people sitting outside dining in these upscale restaurants, and then people just kind of average people walking down the street might be questionable.
So you're saying they interact pretty well as far as being able to get along together for that type of community. Have you experienced any festivals or anything of particular nationalities? Because I know they have a lot of famous, like Italian festival, Czechoslovakian.
Yeah.
You had opportunity to partake in anything?
Yeah, there definitely are ethnic areas and events, especially the school I go to. There's a lot of different people, different nationalities. Have a lot of Asian, Indian students. We have Little Italy, which is right down near campus. I haven't been to so many of these specialized events, but you do have areas that are more specialized towards a certain ethnicity, or you'll have like foods or dining or services geared towards people of that nationality. So it can be kind of interesting. It's never really gotten super involved in it, but
okay. So your overall impression of living in Cleveland, would you stay or would you move back to a small town?
Me personally, I don't really think that I'm in the long term well suited to living in the city. I mean, I'm into natural resources and environmental science kind of stuff. So, growing up in Michigan, I kind of want to get back to those roots, get back more into rural rather than urban areas. But, I mean, if it wasn't for that, I could see myself staying here. I mean, there's lots of different resources available. There's tons of museums, and the metro parks here are amazing. They put a lot of work into those, and they have a great system. So there are definitely reasons to stay, but as to where we're at, I'm going to. That's
Okay.
up in the air.
Well, I appreciate you taking this time to
Yeah.
let me sit down and talk to you. Being from a small town, moving to a big city, it's great to get a different perspective. I grew up in the city. I grew up in Cleveland myself and moved to a small town.
Yeah.
So I have an opposite.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy a small town.
I do
But
too.
I've had both experiences.
Yeah.
But thank you again.
Not a problem.
I appreciate it. Thank you.